what are you seeing as sort of the state of the market today? And I mean, it changes so fast. So actually, there might be some things like blend
that happened just recently
today versus a week ago when you guys wrote this article on OpenJ Pro.
I mean, so a couple of things are interesting right now. I think that one of the biggest things to feel okay about is that there's still money in the system. And when I say the system, I mean like the kind of crypto world is here, and like the money, what you mentioned earlier is like we're seeing a little bit of bounce in crypto, right? Which is a good thing, which means that like it's not only down in the crypto world. The funnel that we talked about briefly at the top has always been this kind of theory, and it's not been proven per se, but it's like, okay, Bitcoin goes, and then the alts, which Ethereum is included in the alts, they go, and a little bit Bitcoin comes down. Then like there's a shitcoin run, and then there's kind of like an NFT run. And NFTs always kind of end at the end of it. The hardest thing about NFTs always is, and people say this, is like ETH go up, NFTs go down, ETH go down, NFTs go down, ETH goes flat, NFTs go up, maybe, right? This is like the world that you're lucky to be in. The thing I think it's really important to know is that, like, again, going back to Pepe, you're looking at something that went from a zero market cap, $0, to a now I think 500 million plus market cap in the course of 3 weeks, right? So the money exists, and in a lot of ways, we have to be encouraged about the NFT world. And again, this goes back to what you're saying about the separating from the people interested in the tech and the traders of this. You have to be happy that a lot of that money ended up in people's hands who are exposed to NFTs and understand what NFTs are, right? Because there's a world where if I'm somebody who was lucked out and put 0.25 into Pepe when it was like whatever, 250,000 market cap, and suddenly I have 500 ETH on my hands, am I going to put 400 of that away and be like, okay, I learned my lesson? Sure. But then I'm going to take 100 of that and be like, okay, time to go back to the casino and try to put some down, right? Like, because that's part of what you do and try to build your gains. So that's one thing that's encouraging, is that the money is still in the system. No one has left. People have left. I shouldn't say people haven't left, because people have left, but there is money in the system still. I think the other thing that's interesting to look at is a couple projects that have still come on very strong. And I think, we have Azuki and Memeland are both really interesting. And one of the things we pointed out in that article is that the Asian markets are much stronger than you would expect, knowing where we are in the Western markets, right? And I think it's in part because I don't know exactly what this is.
Do you mean, just to be clear, do you mean Asian markets as a whole, or do you mean Asian crypto or Asian NFT markets?
I mean Asian crypto and NFT markets. And I think this has to do in part with like, there's a little bit of more fear on our side about regulation and what that means, especially after the FTX thing, right? But I think in Asia, at least in Hong Kong and in Japan, there's been signs that they're going to be a little more crypto positive. And I think that you see projects that, like, this is the hard thing to know exactly for sure, but like you have Memeland, which is Ray Chan, who's based in Hong Kong, and you have Azuki, which is obviously an American project, but like has broad appeal in Asia because it's an anime project as well. Both of those projects are up over the last like 30 days versus like almost everything else is down, right? When you think about Apes or you think of all the other larger projects, but Memeland is up like 40% across Captains and Potatoes, and Azuki is up, I think, like 25%, right? Like they're both held. So that's encouraging. It's not like every single project is down. Now, I will say this, the tricky thing is we have so few people in this space right now that when all the money rushes into one thing, and right now say it's Pepe, and like 2 weeks ago was Nakamigos, right? Nakamigos was the project. It went from like, again, free, and I think it peaked at like almost an ETH, right? Like, so there's 20,000 of them. So that's a lot of people in one project to get to an ETH, right? What happens if it moves to something else a lot of the time is those people all go out, and then suddenly that project, Nakamigos, is at like 0.25 ETH now, right? So it went on this big peak and run. Captains and Azuki have held and gone up during that time. So that shows you that there's some strength there, right? So I think that's an encouraging thing in the NFT market.